Hi, welcome back to another episode of Time with Gabii. With me here is the previous Miss Evil 7, Audrina.
Hi, hello.
Welcome back to my show. How are you today?
I'm great. I'm great.
It's been a long time since I've wanted you on the show, but you've been so busy. But it's great to finally have you here.
I know it's great to be here. I'm very happy to do this.
I remember the first day I met you.
You were
You
like, "Who are you?"
right.
And what was my reaction? Bitch, I'm Miss Evo, and then I walked
I mean, you
away.
were so cool. You were so cool. Or like someone else was so shady, and I'm like, honey, hold up, who are you? Because who's Miss Eva? Miss what? But I mean, you've been so sweet. You've been so sweet, and I know you've been shady as well too. But it's it's been a pleasure knowing you. Like you're one of the realest people out there.
Thank you so much. That means a lot.
Yeah, I know a lot of flakes, but it is what it
See, my thing. I mean,
is.
I don't consider myself to be like shady. Yes, I've been labeled as being incredibly shady, but whatever I say, I also will say to your face. So if it's something like if I were to talk to one of my friends and I say something about somebody,
You
I
can say it
I
in
will
front
say
of
it
them.
as well. Like I make sure that I'm able to say it to someone's face. I'm not gonna go behind your back and talk shit about you and then come and see you and be like, oh hey girl, we're
Right? Oh my
besties. Yeah,
God,
yeah, yeah,
honey,
yeah.
that is what is killing us, eating us up in
that's
this
not
scene.
that's not my thing. I've had moments where I've had people talk shit about me and then turn around and then they're my
Hugging
best friend.
you.
And so I just like to be as real as possible. And if someone comes up to me and says like I heard you said this about me, I'll own up to it. I have no problem doing that, and I'll explain the situation and why I said it and how I feel. But I mean if I get branded as being shady,
It is
it's
what it
yeah, it
is.
is what it is. I know the way that I am. People want to say and talk shit about me. I mean, like in the end, I'm the one who's got an area in the bar named after them.
Right.
Uh, what do you have? I've got my crown.
Ooh, okay, honey.
You know, I'm not gonna stoop to that level
True.
of some
You
people.
just being you.
Yeah, I'm just gonna be myself. I am older, so I kind of am like I just don't need to worry about that stuff. I have other things going on in my life that are a bit of more of a priority than
Yeah.
dealing with a little bit of childhood drama. Not childhood drama, but just drama in general, you know?
Speaking of childhood, what was little Audrina's childhood like?
I grew up very fortunate. I have a brother who is older than me by 10 years,
Oh my
and he
God.
is also queer. Um,
Really?
yes, yes. He delved into drag a little bit as well in his day. Not as much as I have. I've got, like, when I first started, I had some of his stuff that he handed down to me. But having my older brother be queer, I mean, it was never like an issue. It was always like I grew up knowing about it,
So you were
whatever.
just both of you?
Yeah, yeah.
Okay.
Like I have two brothers, so my oldest one is the one who's queer, but it was just not something that was like barred off in the household. Like we don't say it or anything like that. It was just common knowledge. I grew up being around all of like him and his queer friends, um, and like there was no issue with it. So like I knew coming out that it was not going to be an issue
Oh my God.
to my mom or my family. Um, I still like in my mind because I grew up seeing other people have that like terrible
Coming
reaction
out,
to it.
yeah.
I kind of in my mind was just like, oh, it's gonna be like horrible, but it was not. It was just everyone everyone knows. I don't feel like I have to come out to people. I
Yeah.
just am
Do
like,
you? You're
yeah,
out already.
I just do me, and people can make the assumption if they want to ask me. I'll tell you yes, but I just have never. There's only two people that have ever really come out to in my life, and that was my mom, and the other one was my best friend in high school. And
That.
after that, I was like, I just don't need to because like everyone's whispering and saying that shit behind my back. It's obvious.
You're right. I mean,
I'm
when
not
I
hiding
was
it.
when I was little, like there was this. there was this group of boys that would always play soccer,
Mm-hmm.
and there was a day they just like came around me, like they guarded me, and they were like, "You don't play soccer. You're always with girls. That you're gay. Yada yada yada." I was just out there. I was like, "Oh my god, what are you doing?" Like it was so crazy the way society has put a lot of pressure on people to come out. Like if they come out, it's a problem. If they don't come out, it's still a problem. Like what do you want from us?
Yeah, a
It's
hundred
so
percent.
unbelievable. But I mean, I'm happy you had like a
Yeah, I had a very good
good supporting
experience growing
family.
up with it. It was just never anything that was like to to be frowned upon. You know, the only time I ever really had like bullying in a sense was when I moved to Edmonton. And when I started grade 7, because I went to the same elementary school from grade 1 to 6. And so like everyone knew me.
Yeah, a
It was just
problem.
never a problem. And then coming here and seeing all these new people, I kind of was I still acted like myself, and then I was torn apart in grade 7. I had no friends. It was a terrible, terrible thing for me, and that was when I first started middle school, obviously, and so I had a really bad time with it. And then grade 8, I moved schools, and I just kind of like hid a little bit, um, just at school because I was like, I don't need this in my life.
Yeah,
And then it probably wasn't until like grade 11 um, that I kind of discovered other people who were more like me in school, and that was like the first time. So I started being myself a little bit more,
hmm
um, and then obviously, I considered myself to be, in my mind, I was straight acting, but
you had a
girl,
lot of evidence. Like,
Miss Diva, no, I would never, never. But honestly, the second I started doing drag was when I really kind of was like, okay, this is it. We're going super gay. Let's just do it. So,
right,
doing it, I have just become way more comfortable with myself and who I am. That I just don't have an issue or a problem with it at all. And if people do, people do. They can keep walking. They
right.
don't need to be a part of my life. I don't need to be a part of theirs. That's just the way it's always been for me. So I just don't like to hide who I am.
Like, there's this Instagram video I always see that what would people you went to high school with think about it, how did they word it? Like people you went to high school with will see you now and be like, "Oh, now that makes sense." Right.
Fully, fully. But it's also crazy because those people from high school, if they were to see me now, would be in love and fawning
Yeah.
all
Oh my
over
god.
me.
Right.
Yeah,
Oh my god,
because like, oh my
honey.
god, you're a drag queen. Oh my god, yes, slay, girl. No, I will slay, but not for you.
Like it's crazy. You're really 100% into drags and everything, but like when it's time to support us and
Yeah,
lending your voices, you're nowhere
yeah,
to be found.
exactly, exactly.
And like, what was next for you after high school then?
So after high school, I literally just started working. Had the thought of taking a semester or a year off, and then I was gonna start uh, go back to school. That never happened, and that was over a decade ago.
Okay, I mean, look at where you are now. Like,
Yeah,
not
yeah,
everyone has to go to school because,
yeah.
like, I have coworkers that are in their 40s that are still paying off student loans and student debt, and like,
That's always been my thing. Is if when I decided I want to go back to school, it's got to be something that I know I'm going to. I don't want to, in a way, waste my time
true,
and my money and my resources by putting it all into something and then being like, yeah, this is not what I want to do. And then I'm like, well, I just wasted a year or X amount of time of my life and put all this money into something that I don't really want to do anymore. So I really am trying to, it's taken a very long time, but I'm like, I still haven't found that one thing that I'd want to go back to school
true.
for to like really invest my time in.
Yeah, personally,
So
I just went to school because I feel like
pressured.
family,
Yeah.
right? And like that is something I can always back full onto, right? Um, but yeah, it is what it is. So when was drag for you?
So I first started doing drag in 2018.
Oh.
Um, but so that was when I first started like practicing the makeup. And when I would do it, I was a bedroom queen, so I would do it in my bedroom just to paint, put on regular clothing, and shoot photos, and then post them on Instagram and be like, there we go. And I would do that maybe once every couple of months. And then about a year later was when I kind of decided, like, do I want to perform? I don't know. An opportunity came up, and so I took it. And then as soon as I got on that stage, like when I was younger, I had massive stage fright. I would never ever get up in front of a group of people, but there's something about drag that just changes you. That you honestly are just not yourself anymore. You are
Yeah.
somebody different. You have,
The
it's,
character you set out
yeah,
to
a
be.
character, and in a sense you have a mask on because it's not like it's you underneath all of that makeup. So I
And you're very
finally,
hard to tell. Like out of drag you is so different from in drag you.
when I first started, you could definitely see me underneath it, but now it definitely is a huge transformation. um so I did the amateur pageant with the court,
Hmm.
so the ISCWR. And I did the amateur pageant. And after that I was kind of like, okay, well, that was not that bad. Let's continue on with performing. Like, this is maybe
Your
what we'll
thing,
do. Just
yeah.
continue on with it. So I kind of started practicing a little bit more, started doing makeup a bit more frequently, and then I asked to be part of another show, and then another one, and then
Who asked you?
so it was with the court. So
Okay.
I found, just because like I wasn't necessarily going out to shows a lot in drag, because I still hadn't, like, at the time some of my friends were not, like, I could tell that it was not their thing that they wanted to go and do. And so I was a very shy person, and I didn't like going to these shows by myself, especially in drag. In my
Yeah.
mind I was like, oh, I'm gonna get, something's gonna happen. But
Yeah,
I'm like,
true.
I'm in a queer space, like, what's the worst that's gonna
But you
happen?
never know, honey. Like,
A
there are
100%.
people
It's
who
my
come.
mind.
I
It
used to
gets
be
you.
like that. The first time I went to Evo, I was dancing on the stage, and in my head, I was like, "Where's the nearest exit?"
Yep.
Because you go to Evo, no one tells you where the exit is,
Hmm.
except you, who's a performer. Oh, there's a backstage, right?
Yep.
But like, you go to Evo, the place, it's a washroom and back to the same stairs, right? And I was
Yep.
like, what if someone brings a bomb? Like, I used to think about bad things, but now I'm like, it was just in my head. So that makes sense.
Yeah. Yeah. So wouldn't. I didn't know anybody in the queer community as well, because as
Oh,
soon as I graduated, I went to work, and that's all I did. I didn't go out and party. I didn't, like, my 20s were spent working. And so I just didn't have that, like, young lifestyle.
you're
Like,
not in your 20s?
no, I'm 33, mama.
That is a lie.
No, I'm
You look like you're in
33.
your 20s.
I
You
know,
look
I
like I'm in my
know.
30s.
But yeah, I'm 33. So my 20s were spent just working like crazy. And so I didn't really have any friends in the queer community, so I didn't have anyone to go to these shows with. And then finally I started building up the courage. And so the court used to do a lot of, like, open call stuff.
Yes.
um yeah, so I they had asked, they had, I think, a couple spots for, like, a show that they were doing, and I reached out and I said I'd love to be a part of it. I went and I did it. And then after that there was another thing that they were doing, and I reached out. And uh, not long after that, COVID hit.
Oh my God,
And so
yeah.
then I kind of was like, well, that's right when I was starting to get into the groove of, like, going out to shows and seeing people and whatever. Like, I used to go to these shows, and when I got the courage to go to them by myself, I would sit at the back of the bar in drag, sometimes not in drag, and I would watch. And as soon as the show was over, I was out of there. I wouldn't speak to anybody. I wouldn't whatever because I
Really?
was too shy. And so the first person who ever like I went to go watch a hearts pageant, and there was one person who literally stopped. She walked past me, backtracked, stopped, turned to me, and was like, "Hi, how are you? I've never seen you before. My name is Margaret Snatcher."
Oh my! That's one of the sweetest soul in drag in
Mm-hmm.
Edmonton. One
Yeah,
of the sweetest queens.
she was the first person to actually like shake my hand, introduce herself, and be like, "It's so nice to meet you. I would love to see you more out. Like I can't wait to see you out more or whatever." And then went on her way, did whatever she needed to do. And so then I was like, okay, like we're doing it.
Almost there.
We're almost there. Yeah. Someone is recognizing me. Someone took the moment to talk to me. I didn't go out of my way to talk to people. So then COVID, and then I just kind of I created I started making friends with people online. And then obviously that was the only thing you could do during COVID.
Yeah.
So I competed in like a couple Instagram competitions. And I met a few people. That's how I met Mars, Dawn, and Venus. Became pretty good friends with them. And then over the course of everything, I would just sit there and practice my makeup. So the difference between literally going into COVID and exiting COVID, I had created the face that I wanted. It was stamped. I knew exactly how I wanted to look, so that when we were able to start performing in person again, I had everything down pat.
And then during COVID, you started your show, right? Your online show.
No. So
Okay.
that came after. That was probably near. So you're talking about Dragophelion, correct?
Yes.
Yeah. So Dragophelion happened close to when everything was like starting to go back
Opening.
to normal, like the new normal. Um, but there was someone I met through Mars Dawn, one of their friends, so Soul Calum. I met when we used to do like paint nights together. Soul would be a part of them sometimes, and then we interacted a couple times. We've competed against each other in an online competition, and so when we actually met in person, we kind of were talking about like we both had an idea of creating our own Instagram
So,
competitions and how we would run it, and we just kind of were throwing ideas out there. And then I kind of put it on the back burner because like I started getting more opportunities to perform on stage, and then Soul messaged me in like November and was like, "So, were you serious about this? Like, do you want to do it? Because if so, I'll go in it with you, and we'll co-host it, we'll do whatever." So I was like, sure, let's do this. So literally overnight, he already had the graphics made. He did everything.
oh my god.
And then we basically were like, so this date, let's put out the application process. We'll do whatever, put it out there. And we had a full cast. It took 6 months to do because our first time running it, we were like really trying to figure out what works for us. As well as like when it comes to Dragophelion, all the credit honestly needs to go to Soul. I He does literally all the behind the scenes work, all the graphics, everything, coming up with
The
the
chart.
challenges
Yeah.
and like the marking process, all that kind of stuff. I am the face of it. So Soul does not necessarily like doing the
Instagram.
intro videos or doing all that kind of stuff. I absolutely love it. So I was like, I'll do the intro videos, I'll do this, you don't have to worry about it. And then it just started becoming like a well oiled machine. Season 2 happened, and it just went way better than the first season just because we had our process figured out. And then the third season happened, and then like we'll do it every so often now. We do have a very exciting announcement to come up, but we have to wait on that. There is a plan for Dragophelion in the future, but we've got to wait a little bit longer before we can actually release the information.
I feel like that competition brings out the best in people. Like they give it their all. Like
Yes.
look at Gabe. Gabe
Yeah.
won, right?
Yeah. So Gabe Autumn
Yeah.
is our season 3 winner. A Boy Actually is our
The
season
first
1
one,
winner.
yeah.
Yeah. So I credit, honestly, doing these online competitions really helped me when I first started, because that was when I, like, it was right before COVID hit that I started doing one. I competed in it, and it really puts your creative mind to work, because you have to somehow bring your drag to fit within a theme, but still represent yourself, not kind of like changing yourself just to
Yeah,
do
fit.
whatever.
Yeah,
Um, and so, like, I learned a lot doing it, because I was doing that whole thing of changing the way I was presenting myself so that it would match within a theme, instead of doing me through the lens of, or doing the challenge through the lens of Audrina. So it really helped me kind of build up like what I wanted to do, how I want to look. And then creatively, I was like, let's just get into it. Competed in another one. And after that, that was when I started to sew. So I was sewing just about everything
you
that I
have a
made for
lot
that
of craft
competition.
here.
Oh yes, yeah. My table of messy patterns
And you
that I have to
started
clean up.
styling as well, wig
Wig styling,
styling.
yes. So I started playing around with
Honey,
wigs,
you came
and
ready for this shit.
then yeah. So literally after COVID, that's when I really was put. I had a lot of, I practiced. I did whatever. There's a lot of
You worked
people.
so hard.
There's a lot of people who during COVID took that time to like work on it, instead of just being like, well, the bar's not open, so I'm not
Do
going to
it.
do anything. It's going to be however long before I do drag. I mean, the online shows were not the greatest, but it still gave you a chance
A
to,
learning
yeah, a
experience.
learning experience, and it still gave you a chance to show what you can do to other people. I don't think that I would have been as successful as I was coming out of COVID if I didn't have that opportunity to do these online shows, because it had some of the local people, the few people who would tune into them. Some of them would watch these shows and would get to see what you could do, and so they were like, "I'm intrigued. I want to see what else you can do." So then, once everything opened up,
The bookings started coming.
yeah, like I got booked in a park show because of Ammonia was hosting it, and Ammonia was like, "I want her, Audrina. I mean, I'm assuming this is what was going through her mind. She's told me that I was the first person she thought about, but in my mind, it was just like, I just love her. I want to see what more she can do. So she gave me the opportunity to, and I mean, I watched the videos, and I'm like, man, to see where I am now compared to like 2 years ago doing that park show, I'm like
Progress.
miles ahead. But I would not be at this level had it not been for that opportunity.
True, true.
So,
It just takes that one opportunity, right?
yeah,
And I hope
someone
people.
to take a chance on you in a way, and then you basically, like, I spent my time watching my videos and kind of seeing what else I could work on. So I was kind of like, you're a little bit dead in the face, so you got to work on that. So I sometimes
You
would,
have to be your own critic as
yeah,
well.
yeah. Other people are gonna say that shit, but they're not gonna tell you.
Oh, you're pretty,
Yeah,
right? They go to the
yeah,
group
and then
chat and
they'll be
like,
like,
did you
"Oh
see
yeah,
her
this,
face?
yeah, oh she just needs to work on this." No, okay, great, but like, let me know, so then I'll get the
Exactly.
opportunity to work on it. So I studied, and I kind of was like, you gotta work on this, you gotta work on the lip syncing, because that's honestly the most important part. If you don't know your words, it's not gonna land necessarily. So I mean, I used to do, sometimes you'll still catch me doing it if I'm not 100% confident with my words, hand movements in front of the face, spin, do something. Mama, you see me get up and turn around.
Right.
There is a 90% chance it's because I don't know my words.
And that's okay, honey. We don't see it because
Yeah,
your
but
movement,
you
your
got to do the
body
hand
movement distract
movements.
us.
Yeah, do a little head down and hair flip. I mean, I am very good at knowing my words. It is something that I really try to work on, but it's those small little things that
I
you
feel like
gotta,
there are times where you know the words, but you go on stage and it's like, oh my god, what am I
in
doing?
the moment. Yeah,
Yeah,
I've
do you think that's
forgotten.
happened to me before?
I just did a private gig, and I was like, this is a song that I am fully confident in, and like I know the words. And I got there and I did it, and all of a sudden it came down to this one verse, and I was like, what the hell were they again? So we just watermelon cantalouped it until it got to a part that I was
Right.
like, and now we're gonna be like hit into it.
So, can you walk us through to how you got your drag mom to you becoming a drag mom? Oh my God, what a process. Mama Ruby is a
She's a grandmother.
right? You said
Yeah,
it.
yeah, yeah, yeah. I will say it, and I will tell her to her face, "You are a grandmother, Ruby. I mean,
Period.
um, so I I've always had this mind of like when I first started doing drag, obviously there's a lot of new people who are like, I need to get into a family. That's just how it's gonna be in like drag family, blah blah blah. I kind of just did my thing and I was like, I don't know if I need that. Also because I did not know anybody in the community. I wasn't going out specifically trying to hunt for a mother or anything like that. I just started it on my own, did my thing. And then, so it was around like when COVID had hit, or no, when everything started opening up the first time. So that was probably summer of 2021, I think is when I did the
Yeah,
park
yeah.
show. Um, I think it was close to, or I was going and watching a lot, and I would show up to the park shows in drag. So I'd get off of work, and like those park shows were at like 7 p.m. So you had to be there at 6:30 to get like pretty good seating. So I would be done work, and I would race home, and I lived all the way on the West End.
Oh
I
my
would race
God.
home to quickly get into Face so that I could
Honey.
come to the park show so that I could sit there in full drag. Just to I think it was just practice for me, as well as it was like I'm getting the opportunity to meet other people in drag. So I wasn't performing, I wasn't doing anything. So I believe Ruby saw me at a couple of them in full drag. She had messaged me at one point about asking me to style a wig that I wore. There was a style that I did, and she was like, I love it. Can you maybe do something like that for me? And she was the first person who I kind of was like, do I go into wig styling? Like someone's asking
Oh
me
my
to style a
God.
wig for them. And then it wasn't until Winter Rose that really kind of pushed me into styling wigs for people. But Ruby, I guess, was coming to these park shows. Ruby is the other person who has a huge transformation for when she is in drag and out of drag.
Yeah.
And I had no idea who she was out of drag. So I would never know if she was at these shows.
Yeah.
So she reached out a couple times and would say, like, because I did one show with her during COVID. We did Quarantinta. Um,
Who
and I
won?
that was Etheria. So Etheria
Oh.
won Quarantinta Live, the very first one, and then it got rebranded, and I won Pageantinta, the
And
rebranding.
Mama is still trying to get it.
Maybe you'll come back for an All Stars. Who knows? Who knows?
Right.
But so I
No, I'm talking about Ruby though.
oh
Ruby's
oh.
trying to get it right. I had she
I thought you were talking about yourself.
I know she's been trying so hard since the Pageantinta one or Quarantinta. Mama Ruby, you're gonna get it. Maybe after I get
Someday,
it.
listen. You now have 3 kids who want it.
Oh my
So
God, that's true.
yeah, me, Marge, and Stretcher. So now we just need Rom to win, and then well, the 4 of us can really make the magic work and get Ruby her win finally.
Right.
But no, I don't think she's gonna do it again after this. No, she needs a break from it. We all need a break from her. We all need her to take a break from it. But so I've worked with her, or I did the one show with her, and then she reached out and she was like, I remember you saying that you're kind of sewing or you're starting to learn. I have extra fabric. Would you like it? And then
Oh.
she had offered for me to go and uh, do like sewing with her at her place. And
Oh, she sews
so
too.
yeah, Mama is the seamstress for
Right. The
everybody
earrings.
across Canada, across the US. Like
Right.
she does her shit and she sews for everybody. The jewels, everything. So uh, I remember I got this stuff from her at the park once, and then I was like, "Oh, that's Ruby. Okay, great." Like now I was able to, I could put
Differentiate,
I could
yeah.
put a face, an out of drag face to her name, and what was it? I think so. I want the rebranding of Pageantinta. And when I went to go do my step down, Ruby was the other guest judge that night. So we judged Onika's fantasy ball. We are the ones who made her win. I'm joking.
Right, yeah.
We gave you the good marks so that you could win.
Now we know why she won.
You owe me, girl. And then Ruby was like offering me help, and then she was looking because I made some of the stuff that I wore that night, and so the next day I got a message from her being like, I have had my eye on you for a little while. I love what you've been doing. You have like an incredibly creative mind. Would you be interested in joining the House of Hyman?
Oh my god.
And at that time I was like, I don't know any of these people. Like who
was in the house already?
So Stretcher and Pheromone.
Oh yeah.
Pheromone
Oh my god.
Pheromone used to be a Hyman.
I think Pheromone. I'll talk about it after for Pageantinta. I'll talk about this after so they don't come for me.
Off
the camera.
Yeah, off camera. Cut. No, we're not cutting on me. So it was Pheromone and Stretcher, and like I had never really met them before. I only saw Ruby in passing a couple times, and so I was like, I really had to think about it. And in my mind, I was very close to telling her no, because I did not want all the work that I had started doing and everything. I didn't want that to all of a sudden have people be like, oh, well, the only reason she's getting so popular now is because she's a child of Ruby.
Which people still say, right?
Yeah. So like no, it's all
people my will talk.
Work. It's all my work, not Ruby. So I really had to think about it, and then she like half an hour went by, and she sent me like a little shady message and was just like, I know you've seen this. Ooh. So why are you not responding? So in that moment, I kind of was like, let's do it. Let's see where this goes. Honestly, let's see where this goes. If I do it, if at any point like I can literally be like, you know what, it's just not necessarily for me, I'm gonna peace out kind of thing. But still going strong, still a Hyman.
No, you're a mama to a boy, actually.
Yes. So that was how I became a Hyman. And then I obviously got the chance I sat down with Stretcher because we did a show together and reached out, and he said, like, let's do a duet. The first time I met him, I went to his place, and we probably were there for 5 hours to do choreography, spent 15 minutes working on choreography, getting a little bit of placing. We were done, and so for 4 hours and 45 minutes, we just talked and got to know him. Got to know each other, and literally it's very rare for me to just meet someone and instantly have a connection with. Yeah. And that was Stretcher. Yeah, that was Stretcher. So for sure became like a solid part of my chosen family.
You all live together, live close by.
Now we live close together, yeah. At the time I didn't live downtown. I used to live on the West End. It wasn't until 2 years ago that I moved downtown, just because I was like,
it's closer to everything.
I'm like,
the gas money.
That was the huge thing, is I was spending like $40 on gas
every week, every 2 days,
every couple of days, because I used to go to shows 4 days a week. So when they were Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday, I would race home, come back downtown, go back, and that was it. 4 days.
I know. I asked you back then. I was like, "How did you become
Miss Evo?"
Miss Evo, and you told me the same thing. You were always going for shows.
Yeah. I showed up, and that's really what made. I'm assuming
and they've never heard a bad word from your mouth.
Yeah. That's because a diva knows when to keep quiet.
Right.
Listen, Rob comes around.
Needs to learn. Yeah. I need to learn.
This is also the funny thing. This is like, and in my mind, it's still a little bit wild. So that summer, so I got crowned Miss Evo 7 in 2023, which is, so I was Miss Evo in 2022. So the summer of 2021, I remember going to the bar, and I was sitting with Billy, and Ferris had to come and talk to Billy and say, I need you to bring this queen and introduce her to Rob, because Rob has been asking me all night who this bitch is. So I had to go and introduce myself to Rob, because we both had this mindset of like, as we all know, Rob is the way he is and he'll act the way he is. And he has, in my mind, the way I saw it was that he had this mindset of, I don't need to introduce myself.
You
And
should
I
know
also,
me.
yeah, and I also had a little bit of that mindset. I was like, I'm not going to go and introduce myself. I also was like, because I've been doing a couple shows here, like, if he's paying attention, he'll know my name. Like, it's not like I have different makeup every time. So in my mind, like,
Like some cool.
that's just
There
how
is
I
this
work with
particular
it.
queen that has a lot of rainbow colors, a lot of bright colors. I'm like, honey, you gotta be easy with this colors. As y'all, you just go figure out who the queen is.
Listen, I don't even know who it is. No. Cover the mic up so we can.
Right.
But I introduced myself, and then he saw me, booked me for a couple shows, and then 6 months later, I was Miss Evo. So in my mind, it was like I went from a nobody to all of a sudden being like
Miss Evo.
really recognized at this bar that I am going to all the time. And a big part of it was because I showed up when drag was 4 nights a week. Sometimes
4 nights a week.
Thursday to Sunday, I was at that bar for probably like
You
5
should
months
have just
straight.
counted the bar.
I should have. I would have saved so much money on gas. Jeez, I could have paid them rent and just lived there in the drag room. No.
Absolutely. They have a washroom.
I know. In the coat room, there's a private staff bathroom, revealing the secrets of the bar.
What's it called?
But I mean, enough about me being Miss Evo and all that. A boy. So being a mother myself, we'll get back on topic here. So a boy is when I talk about like Stretcher becoming my chosen family and the immediate connection I had with Stretcher, a boy is my drag child, but in the out of drag world, I literally view him as if he is my own child. I would die for him. So he used to come to shows. So that very first park show that I got booked at with Ammonia, that was his first drag show ever.
Oh.
So he used to date Jay the Juggling Magician. And so she brought him to the show because she was
the magician.
The magician. Yeah.
Oh, okay.
So she used to do a lot of like pre-show stuff. And so she brought him, and he watched the show. And then the second time I can't remember if he continued going to the park shows after that, but I know he was making sure he was going to the ones that I was a part of because I got booked in another park show. And so I never knew who he was. Every so often I would get tagged in like these videos posts being like, got to see my favorite queen. Aww. But he never followed me. So if I'm his favorite freaking queen, why was he not? No, whatever. But so he would tag me in this stuff, and then I still had no clue who it was. Mm-hmm. Then there was a show that I did. There was something that I looked at, and I saw a photo of him, and I was like, now that I know who this person is, I was able to pinpoint at some of the shows where he was sitting. So I saw him at one show that I was doing, and during the break, I went out, sat down beside him, and I was like, "You're Mars, are you not?" And he was like, "Yes." Introduced myself formally, was like, "Nice to see you. Like, you come out to all the shows that I'm a part of. I see you all the time. Nice to finally put a face to the Instagram account that tags me and stuff." So I kind of chatted with him for like 5 minutes. Then I was like, "I'm gonna go get ready for the second set. So enjoy the show." And I left. And I didn't find out until after that. I guess as soon as I did that, he messaged all of his friends and was like, "Oh my God, Audrina knows who I am."
Period.
So he, like, for him, it was almost like
big
meeting
thing.
A celebrity in his mind.
Honey, you are a celebrity. Yeah.
Listen, it's taken me many months to even consider myself that.
You are a star.
Thank you. We believe it now.
Right.
We believe it now. So like after that, I remember just kind of like, I honestly, every time I saw him, I was like, I saw who I was when I first started drag. He would sit at the back of the bar alone because he wasn't going to shows with his friends. Um, and so there was one day where I saw him, I waved to him, um, and then I went to go grab my drink, and I went to go sit down, and there was an empty spot with me, and I turned to my friends, and I'm like, would you be fine if I were to bring someone to come sit with us? And so they were like, yeah, of course. So I went, grabbed him. He was sitting at the very back of the bar. And I was like, I have an empty seat that's beside me. No one is sitting there right now. You are more than welcome to come and sit with us if you would like. So he took me up. He came and he sat, and we were second row. He was able to watch the full show, like right up front. Um, I didn't. I was very awkward with a lot of, like, anytime I met new people. I still am sometimes, but I kind of was like, I didn't say a single thing to him. But the people I was with, they were kind of chatting with him and doing whatever. And then he like left immediately and whatever, said goodbye.
Just like here. Once
Mm-hmm.
the show
But
is
then
over.
so then I would see him out more often, and I would say hi, do whatever. And then, like, I just had this, it wasn't a parental thing at the time. I literally looked at him and I was like, I just have this, like, I just want to protect him, you know? Because he started coming out to the bar in drag. Um, so I was like, I don't know, like, I just want to keep an eye on him. I just felt protective of him basically from the very beginning once I got to know who he was. And then I encouraged him to do Dragophelion. He took part in it.
And he won because you're his mother.
No. That This is the thing, is if anything, I if anybody knows, all the contestants know this. I usually don't critique when I do it. I used to critique a lot when we first started it, but I stopped at a certain point because Soul and I meet, and a lot of times Soul would put what I was critiquing in his critiques. So I just
Oh,
stopped doing it because they're getting the same information from us both. So Soul was kind of will work my critiques in there half the time. So I just kind of stopped and I left it open. Anybody who wants to know what I think can message me privately, and I will let them know. But I was like, it just does not seem like, it just seems kind
right.
of pointless for me to send the exact same thing to you that Soul is saying. So, um, I also would like take it. I was very critical on him. I was like, everyone knows that I have,
You
like,
can't fail,
yeah,
honey.
I wasn't pushing him to fail, but it was like, I want him to do great.
Yeah.
And so I wouldn't message him privately. I would not talk to him about Dragophelion, because if I did, it would be seen as, like, I felt like it would be seen as, because everyone knew that I, like, because we were at the time we're getting closer. So I, like, everyone knew that he was, like, around me all the time. So I knew that I had to be very careful about the way that I would judge him. I had to be a bit more critical on him when it came down to it. I couldn't take it easy on him. So I really was, like, helping push him so that he could get further, and he started, like, he stumbled on that first week, and then after that something changed in him, and then he just got better and better and better and better, and then he got booked for Fresh Fruits, and I was like, this kid,
Yes, proud
this,
mama.
I wasn't mother at the time.
Oh, okay.
Yeah, but I was like, the second that he got announced, I bought my VIP table. I was sitting up front because
Oh,
I'm like, this kid has been a big supporter for me. He
yeah.
was the first person who was not friends or family that was out there supporting me incredibly. He was at my first time ever hosting. It was a small little thing, but he was there. So I
It
was
really
like,
meant deal. Like it
yeah,
was a
I
big
was like,
deal.
he's been supporting me a lot. I need to go and show him support. So I sat in that front row watching him and was just like, oh my God, this kid is great. Um, and then eventually he got another chance to perform, and I was there, and I, in the back of my mind, eventually was like, do I want to adopt him? I never wanted Drake kids. I don't want kids in real life. I don't want any of that. They're not for
I
me.
want babies. I'm
No,
just kidding.
no. Not me, not this. No. I just don't have. I could not do it.
It's just a lot of work.
Yes. Real life children and drag children. They're a lot of work.
Really? Now I
But
see why you've been running.
but I did not want kids, and I really had to think about it, and I kind of had made myself like believe, okay, you know what? We're not going to do it. I will just be a mentor to him. So I'll reach out to him and I'll say, anything you need, give me a shout. I'll be your mentor in a way. But then he did one show. I mean, I had also talked about it with a couple of my friends. I put like a private story up and reached out to a couple people and said, like, has anybody else gone through this process of being like, I want to possibly take on the role of something to somebody else. So I really thought about it, and then went to a show that he was a part of, and I had just moved downtown, so I usually drive myself to the bar, but this time I walked to the bar, and so I was like, I can drink. So I had one or two drinks, and I was feeling it. I was whatever, and he performed once, or he did his second performance, and I literally was in tears. I immediately, and that was the moment that I was like, I'm doing it. That's my kid right there. So at the time, I had mentioned it to like jokingly to a couple friends and said like, do you want to go half and half with me? Like, let's co-parent him as like a joke. And they were like, were you serious? Like, do you like, I will go in on this with you. Like, we'll co. And I was like, no, that I'm like, he is 100% mine. I will not co-parent with anybody. And I'm like, it's just clear. But when I kind of like had teased it, all of my friends were like, oh, we know it's a boy. And so I'm like, it was evident to everybody else in our lives, in our friend group, that him and I were just meant to be Drake family, or family in a sense. So I finally worked up the courage. I had asked him. This is also when Dragofelin was still running. And so I said, like, I asked him. He immediately said yes. Let him know, okay, well, we can't, we're going to have to wait until everything is done with Dragofelin, because if you win, it is going. I'm like, I don't want you to face that backlash of
you won because of your
you
mother.
won because Audrina is your drag mother. So I'm like, we are going to wait, and I'm like, I'm still going to be as critical on you, if not more. But I'm like, and I also cannot help you, unfortunately. As your drag mother, I'm like, as much as I wanted to, as his drag mother, I could not help him when it came to the last two challenges. So I could not give him direction. I could not give him anything.
Okay.
So it was all him. I don't know if he had asked a couple other people to maybe give him ideas or whatever, but I like had to maintain my distance for that final part of it. Once it got announced, or once he was announced the winner, we did a little photo shoot, and then I waited, and then we finally announced it, and everyone was like, finally, it's about damn time that you made this announcement, because we all knew. And yeah, he is the only. He's basically. What do I say? I call him my immaculate conception, because like I didn't want drag kids.
Mother Mary.
He is the only one. I mean, I had my small moment, like as soon as they adopted him, I was on a high, and then I made a joke about maybe taking on the role to somebody else, but no, he'll be the only one. I'll be an auntie or something to whatever anybody else who I kind of have
a close connection.
But even if I do feel like I'm going to take on the role of a drag mother to somebody else, it's not going to be the same relationship that I have with him.
What would you say is your best performance so far?
Oh, I don't know.
I mean, I think there was one you wore like this black gloves with red clothes. The red cloth that has the fringe.
Are you talking about my Oh, what is it called? Survivor. I will survive.
Yes, you ate that one, and then the evil one
My
with the
Miss Evo step down.
shade. Yeah,
My Miss Evo step
honey,
down. So my top fave performances that I've ever done. Um, so I
a lot.
have probably a top five. So we'll say top five.
Okay.
My top five would be my step down. I've only performed it twice, but I absolutely love what I created with that. I do a Spice Girls mix a lot, so that is probably my number one most performed song. Anytime I do an out of town gig or a private or anything like that, I'm usually
Doing that because that's where
doing
your
that song.
strength is.
Yeah, I want to present to these people who don't know me my
Yeah.
strongest stuff. And then it's a song called All the Time. I perform that. That's the beginning of the hair whipping.
Oh,
Mhm.
okay.
Then there's a song called End of Time, which I really enjoy doing. And then the one video that I watch, well, End of Time is the one video that I watch a lot. Um, I really enjoy doing like my Jessie plastic doll mix
Okay.
because the
I think
costume
I've seen
head
that
to
one.
toe is there. But that performance of
It
I
was
Will Survive,
fierce,
the Glee
yeah.
version of I Will Survive and Survivor, was
Yeah,
definitely
it was fierce.
yeah. Yeah, I've
I
watched.
love fierce performances. Like when I see people stand at the spot or trying to make funny moves, I'm like, oh my god, just stand at the spot because
You just gotta the way you gotta like you have to have some type of stage presence. That's something you
yeah,
just I encourage a couple people to do. If like you just have to be able to step out on that stage and fully command it. It takes a
a
lot of
lot.
practice to get to that point. I mean, like again, like I studied my stuff, and that's where I was like, I need to bring something special to that stage in a way. So I know if you're somebody who can't do the stunts or anything like that, find that one thing that you find that you can probably that you are very confident in, that one move
Yeah.
that you can just kill.
When I see people just do, I'm like, what the what's that?
Yeah,
Like
like the half I've been guilty of it myself. I've done half energy stuff and I've been like I look at it and I'm like, why did I do that? That was a pathetic attempt. And I'm like, it just was not like it's not my best work and I'm not proud
yeah.
of it. And then I will go to other moments where I'm like, I know that I can deliver a very solid back bend. So I
Oh
will do a
yes,
back bend
yes,
because
yes.
that's where I feel. But as well, you don't want to overexhaust that one stunt because I started to watch my videos and
And
I
you're
was like,
always doing
the
it.
formula is she will walk out on that stage, she will walk to the front, back and forth, and then we're gonna get to that build. And what is she gonna do? Back bend.
I think well, if that's your signature, honey, then just go with it.
Yeah,
But
but
then
I
the thing
just
is, people don't want to see you do it all the time because
yeah, you got to bring some variety.
exactly because if you're gonna keep doing those, I mean, we might as well just get someone else to take that spot, you know.
Yeah,
I feel like there's a lot of performers out there with lots of things in their sleeves, and honey, I've watched you like 3 or 4 times, and I wouldn't say I've noticed you done that before. I mean, I know you
I
do the
try to
back
mix
bend.
it up.
Even our boy does the back bend
Yep,
too.
it's a family thing.
Right.
Skipped Ruby, skipped Ruby.
What would you say is your least favorite performance?
My least favorite performance.
Your quarantine time?
No,
MC.
no. That one I was feeling myself. There is a video on Doe actually that I do not like, but I have not asked them to take it down because no one knows it exists. Because they made a
We're gonna go
spelling.
find it.
I challenge anybody to go and find it.
What's it called?
I'm not telling you. You have to find it in a way. A boy did eventually, and it took him probably a few hours to try to find it. Listen, it can
Because
be
you have to
done.
keep scrolling to 2018, honey.
Mm-hmm,
Not 2019.
mm-hmm, mm-hmm, mm-hmm. It's we'll just say there was a spelling error, and that's why I have not asked them to take it down because I know no one's gonna find it.
Oh.
But that performance, literally, I look at it and I'm like, it's been a very long time since I watched it, but it was a show that I did. Not a lot of people came to it. so I was not getting the audience interaction. It's also when I first started.
Okay.
Um, so there was just like no one knew who I was on out on that stage. So I
Mm-hmm.
was just not getting the energy, and so I was like a really lackluster, no confidence
Yeah,
performance.
true, true.
Yeah,
That
that's where
happened
I
to me
thrive. Is
once.
if I hear at least one person scream, then I'm like, okay, we got this. But if it's just like a sea of dead quiet, then it gets in my mind, and as confident as I may be sometimes, I'm still like, this is not it. I wish that I was not on this stage right now. Um, but still get out there and I kill it. And I've done a couple shows where I did not have the right mindset to do it, and somehow I turned out and gave like incredible performances that I'm
Confident.
yeah, I appreciate what I did, and I'm like, despite not feeling at your 100%, you still came and delivered something.
What advice would you give to upcoming drag performers? Because I've noticed like it feels like we get drag performance every day. You know the way they give birth at hospitals? Every day there's one performance or another, and I'm like, honey,
More
there's
and
not a lot
more,
of gig for us coming over here.
more and more, more and more. Yeah. Um, I don't know if I were to give some of the advice that I would give. So we'll give advice on the makeup aspect of it and then a performing aspect, just to kind of cover both bases. Um, I encourage people honestly to just like, it's kind of a given, but just like practice your makeup.
Yeah,
When I first started, I find that a lot of people, when they're like, oh, let's do drag, um, focus more on getting everything from head to toe. So they're like, I got to do a full face. I took the time. I mean, my makeup when I first started was not the greatest still, but I kind of would sit in my room and I was like, I'm going to practice this one thing and this one thing only to figure out what works best for me. So I was like, I practiced with just my brows, gluing them down, and that was it. And then I moved to finding the shape and doing whatever. So my biggest advice is just to kind of focus on one thing at a time and then move to the next thing instead of being like,
right.
I need to try a different eye with a different lip with a different whatever, because maybe that lip is working.
True, true,
That
yeah.
lip could be working and is incredibly done well, but then you have an eye that is just not necessarily matching, so you just focus on that, like figure out your liner, your eye situation, all of that kind of stuff. And it really helps. I mean, I used to start off with working with part of my brow, and I worked with half of my natural brow, and then I would bring it up further.
Um,
That was not the look, but that's how I first started, and that's what I was like, this is working for me.
this is it.
And then eventually it changed, and I the brow came up further and developed
You
the
don't
face that
shave
I
your
have.
brow?
No, no, I would look wild. As well, I really appreciate my eyebrows. I have very thick eyebrows. As much
Yes,
as I hate
yeah.
them, I have a different appreciation for them because my grandmother, as well, has had very
Very
bushy
hairy.
eyebrows. And I remember sitting down with her once, and she kind of was like talking about it, and so she was like, "I appreciate what I have. You should too." And it just was is something that I like have a very solid with her passing and everything, it was like a connection that I had with her. So I keep I mean, they're cleaned up, they're whatever, but I would not get rid of my eyebrows just because in a
Means a
way, is like
lot.
my connection to my grandmother, you know?
Sorry for your
So
loss, though.
it's all good. Yeah.
Um, what's your thought about all this? No reading of, no reading of books, no story time
The
telling to
drag.
kids, trans band, drag bands, all the bands of the LGBTQI2A or what?
Oh, yeah. I. It's a very unfortunate thing. I mean, I grew up with it in my household, obviously. I was not made to believe that I was queer when I was younger. I was not brainwashed. I was not anything like that. I grew up with it and it was made to be a normal thing. So I grew up, and when I finally realized that I was like, great, this is who I am. I never then felt like I needed to be ashamed of anything or anything like that. So like all these bands, I mean, I like to look at it and I see myself as like proof that it's not what everyone thinks that it is.
Yeah.
You know, when it comes to the story time, again, like majority of the time, these performers who are doing it know better. They know that they're working with children, so they're not going to be out there
With a thong.
with pasties and a. We're not going to be Giselle reading story time.
Right. We're
You
gonna
know?
be more Onika.
We're gonna be Onika in the full head to toe gown, big hair, jewels, reading the children.
Right.
Not reading to the children, Onika. Reading the children. I'll be with you. I'll be in the back
But
with
like,
you, Mama.
to be honest, it really doesn't make sense because I'm like, what makes you think me watching Cinderella and the Prince or whatever make me wanted to find the Cinderella in my life?
Yeah.
Honey, come on. I am the Cinderella.
Exactly. Listen, I don't need any of that. I still got a crown on my own without no man. Yeah. Okay. I don't need no Prince Charming princess in my life. I am the goddamn queen.
You're so hilarious. What upcoming shows do you have?
So at the end of this month, I've got. So it's October, just so everyone knows. I don't know when this will go up.
It's coming out next week.
But oh wow, this shit comes out quick.
Right.
I've got. I can't remember what the show name is, but it's the NDP show on the.
Oh yes, I saw that on Instagram.
28th?
At Evolution.
Yeah, at Evo, and then I've got the St. Albert Outlook with the Court and Party Queens. They're doing a show, so I'm a part of that. And then I've got. I think that's it for October. Yeah,
Okay,
that's it
great.
for October. But I mean, there'll be some stuff
Watch
in November.
Out on that.
Yes.
Where can we find you on Instagram?
On Instagram, it is _Audrina Linn, and it's Linn with an I, not a Y. Yes.
Let's go for the children.
Why? Because I am the only one.
What else? Where can we? What a Facebook.
Facebook? I'm not giving out my personal Facebook. Mama.
I was just kidding. Who you?
It's gonna be. No, I'm not giving that out. Listen, I am one of those people. I am one of those drag artists that no one knows what my out of drag name is. It literally, a lot of my friends, it took them like a year and a half to finally be like, "What is your name?"
I mean, mine is so easy.
Very true. Very true.
Because I try not to differentiate my out of drag from my in drag
yeah.
because I'm similar. Like,
yeah,
I think.
Yeah, 100%.
What else would you like to add?
I don't know.
Honey, we've been going on for an hour. That's great.
I give you the content. Honestly, I do this every time. I've had you get me talking about a boy, I could go on and on and on. That kid is, again, that is the kid of my life. The only one.
So do the honors of closing the show.
Closing the show with what? You want me to do a closing number? Hit it! Okay, honey. We'll put the crown on. We'll get the wigs out. Give me 2 hours and I'll be in phase.
We've come to the end of the show. Thank you all so much and see you next time.
Bye.